Good afternoon, Facebook. This is your girl, Teresa B, coming to you live and direct from Amplified Exposure Live. It sounds like we have an echo. Do you have it on your phone?
Oh, I'm on my iPod Pro. This is the only way I can get you. I can't get. Is this StreamYard or your Zoom?
This is StreamYard.
I can't get StreamYard on my desktop.
Oh, okay. Well, it looked like it went away. I don't hear anything now, but I'm sure everybody will tell me if there's an issue. Everybody knows Judge Joe Brown. This is an impromptu interview. He came on tonight, not just because he's my BFF and partner in crime, but he came on tonight because he likes me. So for those of you that are out there in La La Land, TV Land, and all the other lands, this is season 8. Season 8.
That's 2 thumbs up if anybody asks.
Season 8, we starting it off right with the homie Judge Joe Brown. How you doing?
Oh, I'll manage. At least in a mad rush, my dear. Everything's all right on this end so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're still looking all handsome and stuff.
Hey, ain't nothing for no old man.
That's what I'm talking about.
You have a lot of practice in doing what you do.
That's what I'm talking about. See, player. I'm not fooling with you tonight.
What you doing? Oh man, I'm grinning. Why are you grinning? Because I put a lot of practice in to become a dirty old man, and I'm reminiscing on some of my adventures that you'll never have.
Okay.
And I'm not as good as I used to be, but sometimes I'm better than I ever was.
Okay, you better preach. Oh, I just love you, BFF. I'm so glad that you're doing okay and everything's going well and you able to come back. A lot of controversy going on these days. I saw you do a show where you were talking about Bill Cosby, and you was kind of sticking up for him and everything that happened to him. And I agree with you 110% on some of the things that you were saying. But I want to ask.
Talking about R. Kelly.
Well, we ain't getting to R. Kelly just yet. But
well, let me just give a preliminary statement. A lot of his problems stem from some legislation that Jackass in Chief in the White House, along with Larry Bird and Robert Byrd and John B. Stennis, Strom Thurmond, and some others introduced in 1977 and got passed, backed it up by making it worse in 1981, 1987, 1991, and then 1994 that some people think about. So he got caught up in a RICO Act situation, which was supposed to be for dealing with organized crime like that unmentionable hypothetical organization known as the Mafia in entertainment venues. But it works to his detriment. The only problem he's got for a lot of people that I've talked to is, aside from due process, which as the law stands now, he seems to have gotten. I didn't keep up enough with it to know if there are any strong appellate issues. But he still has more pending charges set for trial in state courts and in other federal jurisdictions, so his problems are not over. His main point that he has not discounted for a lot of erstwhile supporters is explaining away Ayla.
mm-hmm.
You know,
and
you run into problems when you deal with 13, 14, 15-year-old girls. Mm-hmm. Whether they're willing or not under somebody's general obscure law. Jerry Lee Lewis and the King, Elvis Presley, both married 13-year-olds at one time, but that was 65 plus years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was still kind of sick when it happened. Still is. But just because they do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Mm-hmm. So
So
if you was involved in that case, would it have gone down the same way?
what? In what way? As the judge, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see the judge doing much of anything wrong in terms of federal law. The federal deck is stacked against you. The way the law is construed right now, they even have an allowance that the jackass in chief in the White House now is responsible for legislation that's set up where a federal federal attorney can go after you with no chance of convicting you, but just for the sheer purpose of bankrupting you so that you are rendered harmless, in his opinion. U.S. attorneys
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or
So
circuit
he would have got it
or district.
regardless.
Yeah, he's got problems regardless. See, for example, the Fifth Amendment gives you a right to remain silent. In every state, if you tell a cop, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Fifth Amendment. The FBI brings you in and says, we got you here for a bank robbery. You say, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, they're going to indict you for making a knowingly false statement to the feds. And the proof they'll put on the trial is they just got through telling you you were there to answer questions following a bank robbery investigation, and you said you didn't know anything about it. So that's a knowingly false statement. You knew because you just got told it was about a bank robbery.
Right.
So clients would get walked on all counts except that one.
Hmm. So if you could compare R. Kelly's situation to Bill Cosby's
It isn't the
situation.
same. Everybody that Cosby was dealing with was a grown, consenting, gold digging adult with female who was a groupie who was there for sex, drugs, and rock and roll, movies, television, NBA, NFL, MLB, drugs, and BBC. You know what the BBC stands for? Big Black. See,
Oh.
that's what they used to show up for as groupies. Where are
Yeah.
the drugs and let's get it on. That was something that was late 60s, 70s, petered out in the early 80s, but that was a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so many listeners were children or weren't even born. Uh, that's like the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well, you
still
were.
in politics. You have political groupies. The girls like to hang around the boys in political headquarters because there's exciting sex and power, which is an aphrodisiac.
Did you know Bill Cosby personally?
Oh, I've talked to him several times since I met him. Several times. He remembered one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was even on a game show he had way back in the, when was it? Early 90s. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
my green room used to be his green room when I was doing the show.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But, you know,
Okay. So he gets off and he walks, basically
but they
because.
see the difference between the two is they had one pending charge. There was an egregious violation of the Fifth Amendment. The judge was damn near incompetent, lost control of the courtroom. The DA went way over the line and ought to be jacked up for prosecutorial misconduct because this woman who was gold digging, trying to get a position with the university that Cosby had a connections with, she was playing groupie.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in somebody about some allegation. It wasn't even rape, sexual battery. That's what he got convicted of. And technically, under the state's law, he should have been put on probation. The judge took 9 months to come up with a report he was supposed to have had in 60 days, if I understand it right. I may be wrong. When this woman sued him civilly, Cosby and his lawyers declined to answer a deposition. The civil trial judge says, I agree, Fifth Amendment considerations, he's immune. But the DA's office came in and said, this is interesting. After investigation, thorough police procedure, it is apparent that there is nothing of substance to these accusations. Therefore, this office has no intention of prosecuting Mr. Cosby. Therefore, the civil trial judge said you had to answer the interrogatories. See, unlike in a criminal position where the witness can remain silent, in a civil proceeding, you can call the witness you can call the defendant as a witness against his own interest. Now, he never admitted to any crime. He just said in the deposition, yeah, I provided drugs. She wanted them. That's what was expected. I didn't force her. So then what happens is the other guy loses an election. The new DA says, we're not bound for that. We're going to use this statement that Mr. Cosby made after he was assured that there would be no Fifth Amendment considerations. We're reneging on that. Well, you can't, because the office made the representation, not an individual. So that case never should have gone to trial to begin with. So there was no evidence. And the fact of the matter is he never admitted to a crime. He said, I provided drugs, we had sex, but they came over here wanting the drugs. It was drugs and BBC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, see, from experience, I grew up in LA. You know, I was in a BSU and active in the community all through the 60s. I wound up years ago coming south professionally after I got out of law school. But I went back on vacations, and sometimes you'd go to these parties, and some of the women that were complaining about Cosby would show up at a mansion party with a lot of stars and celebrities, and they'd be see-through, no bra, no pockets. And in 15, 20 minutes, the top would be off. 45 minutes to an hour later, they'd be naked, walking around with a gold chain, hitting a whole bunch of coke on the coffee tables and drinking the good liquor. And you go upstairs to get something out of your overcoat pocket, laying on a bed, and she's on top of it screwing somebody. And then you walk down the hallway, half hour later, you almost get hit because she's been in the closet giving somebody a head job. And then they come back and complain, I was taken advantage of.
And how many women were actually after him? I can't remember.
I think they're on, what was it, the Vanity Fair cover, I think they had 30 of them on there. The one that was the main subject, she called him up 7 times on Valentine's Day, supposedly after she was abused. They had this model, Johnson, that Whoopi Goldberg in an interview, she said he was trying to rape me using drugs. I went up to his hotel room. He had on a house bathrobe, and he fed me these drugs, and I got high. So when he found out I was high, he got on the phone and called a taxi, put his robe back on, and escorted me downstairs and paid the cab fare and tipped the cab driver. So Whoopi Goldberg said, that doesn't sound like rape to me. Well, it might have been. But no, he found out you were inebriated. He sent you home. So what is this? And then there's Gloria Allred and her daughter. They make a hustle. He admitted as much to me at an Emmy party one time that she threatened these celebrity men with publishing some off-the-wall accusation, and it's settled to keep things quiet. See, when you get to the big figure folk and what it cost us to get a lawyer and all the fees and expenses, sometimes it's cheaper to settle than pay all those expenses. You aren't admitting to anything. You're just saying to get rid of the inconvenience, there is a settlement with no confession of guilt or liability.
Well, they wouldn't allow R. Kelly to do that. I wonder if T.I. did that. What do you think about
Yeah,
the T.I. story?
R. Kelly's situation was somewhat different.
Mm-hmm.
It's and the other thing too, he was tried in a federal court rather than in a state court. And trial in a federal court is a disaster for most defendants, particularly the ones that are very innocent. They don't know what's going on. I've had trials in federal court where we availed ourselves of partial verdicts of not guilty and then going back to trial on the remaining counts of a multi-count indictment, step by step, burn up a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fees from your client, but you find out what's going on with the case. Like one case, this guy was the biggest black real estate dealer in Tennessee, and he blew the whistle on the Reagan administration. So they went after it. So on the day before the running of the statute of limitations, they indicted him on like 48, 49 counts. Three or four or five white folk were in it. They dismissed the indictments against them. They went after him, and one of their main propositions was that he extended a personal loan to somebody under HUD who was supposed to already have the finances, and this guy supposedly was an ignoramus with a second grade education. By the time we got to trial three, we found out he not only did not drop out of the second grade, he had a master's of business administration from Virginia Union University, had bought his first house by lying about his age when he was 19, and currently had 162 Section 8 homes that he lied, saying he was personally residing in. And what he had done is bought it under some sham corporate entity. So for 14 to 28 months, if I'm not mistaken on the time for the most months,
Mm-hmm.
collected the rent from the Section 8 tenant that was occupying the place and didn't pay one dime on the mortgage payments. They were all foreclosed on, but it didn't cost him anything because they were sham corporate entities. So the prosecutors knew this. They knew their witness was lying, but they went after it. And guess what? Under federal law, the procedures that Chief Jackass in charge and Eastland and company set up, we couldn't let the jury know that this guy was lying about getting a loan that he got from the teachers credit union, because he also ran a janitorial service that was cleaning up 9 elementary schools. He got that loan in the exact amount less than an hour before the closing. They couldn't hear about that. They couldn't hear about the fact until we found a backdoor way to get it in, that this
Mm-hmm.
clown had bought all of these houses using a fiction and it had been running a con, and the government knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
most
that's
lawyers
that's
aren't
on
that smart.
so that's on the federal side.
Yeah, that it's, you know,
Mm-hmm. So what you think about the rapper T.I.? What do you think about his case?
I don't know. I say that not being facetious. I just know that many a case I got elected to 2 8-year terms as a criminal court judge, general trial jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
Many a case, in fact, most of them very seldom went along with what was reported in the press.
Mm-hmm.
I know I had one supposedly gross homicide case. Guy was on trial for murder. The press was just anxious to get blood, sent blood in the water, and the family wanted blood. And after deliberating for some days, the jury had a question. I brought them back in after I had them write the question up. And the press was getting ready to scribble the answer down, so they could run out and phone it in. And the jury, I polled them. I said, "Is this your question, sir? Mr. Johnson, Mr. Osgood, Mr. Osgood, Mr. Swartz, Mrs. Murray, is this yours?" So on and so forth. Mr. Thompson, I believe you were the foreman of the jury. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Did you reduce the question to writing? Yes, sir. Would you please pass that up? Mr. Williams, would you pass that up to the court? Thank you, Mr. Johnson. The court will now publish the question. Your Honor, if we feel that the victim deserved killing, do we have to convict the defendant? Ladies and gentlemen, please refer to your written instructions contained in official jacket number so on and so on. Return to the jury room and continue your deliberations toward the end of reaching a verdict if you can do so without offense to anyone's conscience.
Okay.
You know, everybody lost interest in the case at that point.
So you've seen trials like this over and over and over again.
Yes, this stuff goes on all the time.
But have you seen somebody convicted as severe as they did R. Kelly?
He wasn't convicted in a severe fashion. They were relatively minor charges on the federal level. And we don't know what his sentencing is going to be.
What do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. I haven't looked at his background. You have a long, long checklist, and there is a long, detailed sentencing report, and there is a sentencing hearing that can go on at great length and in great detail, and using the guidelines, the judge imposes sentence. So I don't know what he's going to do.
Interesting.
See, a lot of times the press leads people to believe somebody's going to get a long time, particularly such offenses as manslaughter. Under a lot of states' law, a first offense that happens to be manslaughter is generally entitled to probation by law. See, when you go through the sentencing guidelines, the judge has no discretion or little discretion, and it's supposed to err on the side of generosity. See, if you deviate in a more severe fashion from the guidelines, you have to justify it fully to the satisfaction of an appellate court.
Okay. I don't know what any
and
of that
see, on
means.
Cosby's case, technically considering sexual battery, he's entitled to remain on bond pending the outcome of appeal, because under the circumstances, that was a slam dunk from day one. I said this case should not go to trial from day one.
Right.
And everything I predicted is exactly what the appellate courts did. He never should have been kept in jail. In spite of some clowns that go around with their feminism saying he needs to do time. Well, you see, let me tell you how bad that's got. See, some people get out of touch with reality. There is a move afoot on the East Coast amongst certain feminists to have a new category of criminal rape. It's called rape by seduction, which means if you agree to go out on a date with somebody and you wine, candlelight, have a good dinner, and it's spring and you decide to go for a walk in the park, and, you know, your place of mine gets resolved, and wherever you wind up, kissy huggy, clothes come off, wild thing, and everybody gets wet. That's supposed to be felony rape by seduction. What you're supposed to do is call up, look, do you mind if we have sex tonight or tomorrow night? And do you mind if we go to dinner and have wine and dine and by candlelight first, and then go for a walk in the park, and then go to either your place or mine and have sex afterwards? Is this okay with you? Hell, Mother Nature doesn't work that way.
How does Mother Nature work?
What?
How does Mother Nature work?
You get seduced. That's boys and girls 101A.
101A.
Well,
don't say it. Don't say it, because I know you about to say something.
I mean, think of it. When you see a human, what are you looking at?
I don't know.
Before I answer, is this adult rated or is it R-rated or?
You know, I let you say whatever you want to
Okay,
say.
well, anytime you see a human, what you're looking at is a successful fuck. Mother Nature for 4 billion has set it up. You are born, you are raised, hopefully, you mature, you court, you have a fuck, hopefully at the right time, right place with the right person. A child is born, the child's reared, the child matures, the child courts, the child seduces or gets seduced, the child fucks, there's another child born, the child's raised, you become a grandparent by then, and it keeps going. It's a cycle. They want to break that cycle because of some problems they have with their own makeup, hardwiring of their brains or outlook on life. They aren't able to deal with it. Mother Nature has been working on male and female for a long, long time.
Judge. You know what I'm about to say.
Truth.
I know it's the truth, but you know what I'm about to say.
What's that?
Now this is your first time
As
I've
long as
seen
it's
you.
not rape.
As
You
long as
know
it's
what I'm
not rape.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody forced anybody or made anybody. It is absolutely asininely stupid, ridiculous, and ignorant to start talking about we need a crime called rape by seduction, where the seduction is what most young adults, young, mature adults, most full grown and mature adults would love to have happen. A great evening after a great dinner, great date, and everything leads to the bedroom and everybody has a good time.
Judge, you
Some
know
of
something.
us, some of us have devoted our entire adult lives to the pursuit, acquisition, and enjoyment of nookie,
Hmm.
or being pursued, acquired, and giving it up and enjoying it.
Hmm. So at what age do you think that stops?
I ain't as good as I used to be, but most of the time I'm better than I ever was.
You know I was being facetious because I knew you was gonna say something.
And I'm in my mid 70s. Hell, it ain't stopped yet. I still get hard up more than hell. Give me
Oh,
some.
TMI. But you know I got some actors in my play that they drool over you. So they are glad to hear that your stuff's still working.
I don't want them drooling over me unless they got boobs and female nether parts. I don't swing that way. That's their problem. I mean, I understand folk do that, but
Oh no,
that's their
they're
business. But
females.
I ain't
No,
part
they're
of that.
females. Mm-hmm. They females. They pretty females too.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
And
be
I am
eyeballing you.
single.
Yeah.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
single.
You remember when I sent you that clip of the two mothers in my play?
Yeah, that's right. You did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got the hots for you. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm difficult to get along with. It takes a lot to deal with me, but I guess it's worthwhile. I've been told.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be
Maybe
sure
there's
to pass the
somebody near at
message.
hand that wants me dearly. I don't, when I get in between, I'll come knock it. Yeah, baby, I have come as promised and prophesied. Touch me. Verify that your senses deceive you not. I have become manifest in the flesh. I
I
am here.
can't. I can't. I can't. You 75? You said
74.
74.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I always wondered how anatomy worked. after a certain age.
It worketh. Yeah, even assist.
Oh,
Before you go get a young trainee, you still ought to pay attention to me because there's always blue vitamin V.
you know what? I'm gonna hook you up with one of the church mothers from the
I
place.
don't want church mothers.
No, they act as church mothers. They not real church mothers.
Oh, that no, that's their parts.
Yeah, they might be freaks, out of costume. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Let me check and see if there's anybody I'm personally acquainted with already that might object to this. I have to take a survey.
I can't with you. I missed you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I hope and pray that we meet in person. I was told that you're originally from Memphis, Tennessee.
No,
Where
I'm
you
from
from?
Los Angeles, California. Kindergarten through law school. Then I came to Memphis, Tennessee. Got sent here
Oh,
on a job.
do you go back often?
Back there weekend before last.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You need to text me and let me know. I have a lot of family and friends there. I
Yeah, I
visited.
was working on promotions for a product I market.
Hmm. Is it the blue pill?
Judge Joe Brown barbecue.
Barbecue?
Yeah, you can get the sauce as a start, but it'll be marketed in stores, but you can order it online. Judge Joe Brown, that's JJB, barbecue, BBQ.com. JJBBBQ.com. It's good stuff. Everybody loves it. We just have the regular, but we're coming out with the OG and the hot, and also powder and some food items and stuff like that. So yeah,
See, my
right.
mind went left. I thought you was talking about some pills or something you created. I didn't know it was food.
Well, sauce right now,
Okay. And when you
and
going
also
back?
some cookers we will be dealing with, so you
When you
can
go?
make it like you're supposed to make it.
Oh, like you supposed to make
Not
it.
all this stuff that tastes like 2 cups of brown sugar and some ketchup.
Mm-hmm. So
Real
you can
sauce.
cook?
Yes,
Hmm. I'm gonna let the church mothers know that too.
I'm collaborating with somebody, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. When you going back?
I don't know.
Well, you text me and let me know. I might be there.
All in due
Mhm.
time.
Well, you know that you can come on here anytime and cut up with me. You know this is what I do. And I really, really have enjoyed you. I'm so glad that you are in good shape and good health and still doing your thing. I follow you everywhere you go. Every time you're on a talk show, I watch it. So I appreciate you coming on here and showing me love over and over and over and over again. That's what
My
BFFs do.
pleasure.
All right, this is Judge Joe Brown, y'all. He gave his opinion on R. Kelly.
I didn't give
Uh,
my opinion on R. Kelly. I was just talking about the trial.
well, he
I
gave
was
it, yeah, the
reporting on
trial
it
itself.
professionally from what I did observe about it. I
Yeah.
wasn't there. I didn't witness any of it. I did not observe the demeanor, bearing, and presentation of the witnesses, their motive to tell the truth or swear to a falsehood, their gain or lack of gain in the outcome of the proceedings. I didn't see any of that. I didn't hear the tone of voice. I didn't hear, or well, I didn't observe any eye contact or lack of eye contact, any signs that my past human experience would indicate or exemplars of evasiveness or attempt to mislead, any of that kind of thing. By the way, juries get instructed on such things in evaluating the testimony of witnesses.
Okay. You remembered all of that. That's a lot of stuff that they go.
Well, I
Hmm.
was a professional. like a doctor. You know, the doctors recite all that stuff when they're giving you a diagnosis.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Some of us work at what we do for a living.
Mm-hmm. I get it. Mwah. You know I love you.
Thank you, dear. And I'll
You
be
take
out
care
of
of
here.
yourself.
Okay, it was a pleasure as always. Ciao.
All right. Bye bye.